They are the ultimate symbols of a 40-year Cold War. Two frozen time capsules, separated by 7,000 miles and an insurmountable diplomatic chasm. In Tehran, this compound isn't an embassy anymore. It's called the U.S. Den of Espionage. In Washington, this property isn't an embassy anymore. It's an empty landmark in one of D.C.'s most expensive neighborhoods. When diplomatic ties were severed in 1980, thousands of diplomats, staff, and spies walked away. But they left the buildings behind. So, what happens to a multi-million-dollar piece of prime real estate when the country that owns it becomes your greatest enemy? The answer is two very different and very strange stories. This is the tale of two embassies, and what happens when a building is held hostage by history. The stories begin at the exact same moment. After months of the hostage crisis, diplomatic patience ran out. On April 7, 1980, President Jimmy Carter severed relations with Iran. In Washington, the exit was orderly. The U.S. State Department gave Iranian diplomats 36 hours to leave the country. They packed their boxes, lowered the Iranian flag, and left. Legally, that land still belongs to Iran. But under the Vienna Convention, the host country has an obligation to protect the premises of a mission that has been recalled. And so, a special unit of the State Department did exactly that. They locked the doors and posted guards. In Tehran, there was no orderly exit. The embassy wasn't locked up, it was taken over. When the official split came in April, student groups already controlled the compound. For them, it wasn't property that needed protection. It was enemy ground. It became their command post. Within 24 hours of each other, two buildings were frozen. In D.C., the embassy became a tomb. In Tehran, it became a prize. What did they do with the Tehran compound? At first, student groups spent years meticulously piecing together the millions of documents U.S. diplomats had shredded right before the takeover. They eventually published them in over 70 volumes. Then, they turned it into a museum. It's a chilling time capsule where you walk through original 1970s teletype machines and soundproof rooms. But the most powerful exhibit is on the walls outside. These murals are iconic, gritty, aggressive anti-American propaganda that is constantly repainted to reflect current tensions. It's a living monument to the ongoing revolution. Now, jump across the ocean to the Iranian Embassy in D.C. This is arguably the most valuable vacant property on Embassy Row. For over 40 years, the U.S. State Department's Office of Foreign Missions has been the building's custodian. Their job is preservation. They maintain the roof, the gardens, and the delicate Persian tilework. The main embassy remains completely sealed. Because the U.S. and Iran have no formal relations, Switzerland represents U.S. interests in Tehran, and Pakistan represents Iranian interests in Washington.
Some 60 Americans, including our fellow citizen whom you just saw bound and blindfolded, are now beginning their 6th day of captivity inside the U.S. Embassy in Tehran.
In Tehran, the Revolutionary Guard uses the old U.S. Embassy as a political stage. In Washington, the U.S. government meticulously cleansed the old Iranian embassy, waiting for a day that might never come. The compound in Tehran is the mandatory venue for every anti-American protest. Whenever tensions spike over nuclear deals or sanctions, the murals get a refresh. It's the visual scoreboard of the relationship. As long as it stands as the Den of Espionage, the message is, there can be no compromise. Meanwhile, in Washington, the building's preservation costs U.S. taxpayers. Estimates of the combined value of all the Iranian properties held in D.C. reach up to $200 million. It's a massive chunk of dead real estate. There have even been court cases where victims of state-sponsored terrorism tried to seize this property, but the U.S. State Department always steps in to stop them. Why? Because protecting it is key to any potential future relationship. In the U.S., it's a monument to diplomatic hope. In Tehran, it's a monument to ideological victory. This comparison reveals the core philosophy of each nation. For the U.S., the preservation of the D.C. building is a commitment to the long game of diplomacy. They hold the property, waiting for an Iran that will one day return. For Iran, the transformation of the Tehran Embassy is a definitive statement. They didn't lock the door, they changed the lock. A physical embassy is the most sacred ground in international law. When two buildings are abandoned like this, it's the physical loss of a bridge. Both compounds are time capsules, 1980 on pause, and they tell us something about the future. Until a key is turned in a lock on both sides, the Cold War between Tehran and Washington will remain perfectly preserved.